Going for 4 in a row on home ice tonight as the Edmonton Oilers host the Tampa Bay Lightning, and Team Canada head coach John Cooper. Keep your eyes open tonight for Zach Hyman, buddy. I think I'm going to expect some fireworks this evening as both these teams come in red hot and having both of their last 2 games. Hello, what up, and welcome to Pre-Gaming with Bordzy, brought to you by Sherwood Ford, the Giant. This evening, joined yet again by the man, the myth, the legend, Matthew Wozniak. You are starting to become my most consistent co-host,
it's
and
fun.
People better buckle up because they're going to be seeing a lot of you in December. And you also told me you have a surprise for me later tonight.
It's a little bit of a surprise. You probably have no idea what's coming. No one knows what's coming.
I'm excited. I don't know. Woz has something over here that he's been holding on to, but we won't. It's literally, I can see it in front of his laptop right now. But Woz, vibe check. How we doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited for the storm tonight and then to have a wild time on Thursday.
Ooh, Thursday. That's true. If you've been tuning into Oilers Nation every day, we're having a little Christmas party for the fans and everybody.
We're playing the Wild.
Down here at Dog Patch. Yes, I'm aware.
Oh, okay.
That's why we're doing the watch party.
But wild time, get it?
I get it. No, I do get
Okay.
it.
Okay. No, I guess it wasn't that funny. All right.
We're also joined producer Patrick Puff behind the scenes. And Patty, It's snowy out there today. The roads are bad. And you thankfully got here safely.
Barely, yeah. There was a huge accident leaving Fort Saskatchewan, so I was a little bit late getting here. But if you are going to the game or you're going out to watch the game, just drive slow today and give yourself lots of time because it's bad.
It's bad. I've just been watching it. I've been here all day. I've just been watching the snowfall, periodically checking my car outside, being like, damn it, there's more and more. But let's check in with the chat to kick things off. Loyal to Oil. Let's go. Bring on Bordzy. Sasky Oil fans in, says Bordzy, tequila with cran, and Oilers got me buzzing. My immediate reaction to that was, you, tequila and cranberry you said you were down for it.
Yeah, that sounds tasty. I mean, you can't go with cran. I know vodka and cran is pretty popular, but also you can't beat a nation.
I'm not a tequila guy with mixed drinks. With mixed drinks. I'll throw it back.
I'll have to give that, I'm going to have to give that a shot.
Team Principe in the house. Rusty's in. Let's go Oilers. McKay and Dry. Time to shock the Lightning. Let's go. You gotta like that pun. Austin and OG. Let's fucking go, Bordzy. Fired up, baby. It's game day in Oil Country. Final buzzer said I was out shoveling the walk. No. McKay and Dry said, hurry, we're getting Bordzy. To which I laughed. And Pat, moments before we went live, I knocked over my entire cup of what I have next to me. Wish we could cut the camera on it. I just have paper towel everywhere next to my foot. It's been a weird one today. Obviously, we've been moving studios. Shout out to us, Woz. We got new chairs.
Let's go. Beautiful.
That I guess aren't technically new chairs. They're old chairs, but we moved them in here and they look new. How's it feeling on your butt right now? 1 out of 10. How you doing?
So far, so good. I'll give it a 10 out of 10 because I'm with you.
Oh, brother just been firing me up this evening, but we are in for a good night of Edmonton Oilers hockey, and it's a new week, and it is a new set of challenges for the Edmonton Oilers. Things are about to get crazy in Oil Country over these next 14 days or so, you could say. The Oilers, they're embarking on a murderer's row is what I, in fact, called it. Look at this upcoming schedule, brother. The Lightning tonight, the Wild on the road on Thursday night, then back at home for Vegas, Florida, Boston. 5 upcoming games against 5 tough opponents. And then, as I pointed out, the letdown spot of all letdown spots Saturday against the San Jose Sharks or the Ottawa Senators. But look at those 5 upcoming games. I have one word, and it says woof to that. And I don't know. Connor McDavid earlier today, he said he thought of it as a good challenge, which, of course, that's what he's going to say. Yeah. He also said they were not looking ahead. He called it, and I quote, a nice stretch of games here before Christmas to see where we are at. And, brother, it couldn't be better time for this big test. Oilers obviously won 5 of their last 6. 3 of their last 4 on home ice. And this is the time to be point collecting because, buddy, that is a tough stretch right there. And it's in Christmas, but they're all at home, or everyone besides the Minnesota Wild, I should say. 3 of their next 4 games are against division leaders. The only one that isn't is tonight against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And yes, they might not be the Tampa Bay roster of old. They are still an elite group up front, specifically in that top 6. They are no less of a challenge, especially considering their recent form and the return of Nikita Kucherov. He missed 2 games, had 3 points Saturday night against the Vancouver Canucks. Point being was the Oilers, they're going to be in tough for the next, 12 or so days, you could say?
Honestly, I'm looking at this like the 12-day gauntlet for the Edmonton Oilers. I'm very excited. If I
12
were them,
days of gauntlets.
yeah, exactly. Like Connor McDavid said, he's looking forward. This is going to be a good test for them. And like I said, I'm excited for the challenge ahead for the Edmonton Oilers, and I think that's how they have to view it. Each one of these teams is a really good challenge. Even the San Jose Sharks. Sharks are coming up. Don't sleep on them. Macklin Celebrating is coming to town, and he's going to be very fun to watch. I think he's the toughest test of the challenge. Anyways, you also have the Florida Panthers, who were all right. I mean, the Oilers went 0-2 against them last regular season, and after that, we didn't really face the Florida Panthers. I don't want to talk about the Florida Panthers too much.
Yeah, hey. Yeah. We're going to have to on Monday night. We're going to have to relive some of those.
To get back on the rails, I'm excited to see how we stack up against these teams. The Minnesota Wild are always a tough task, especially we saw what happened last time. Last season, the Oilers did not beat the Tampa Bay Lightning or the Florida Panthers in the regular season, and last year, when we did play one of the Florida teams, I'm like, if we face either one of them in the finals, I had a feeling they were going to be the toughest challenge because they spanked us around.
Yep, that's very true. We have to relive that.
Yeah.
On Florida. We'll deal with Florida talk on the Florida game. That's the only time I want to actually talk about that. You mentioned Derek Ryan has a career hat trick against Florida Panthers. I see Ryan's and he says, wait, the old studio. Pat, you mentioned it in the chat. So just so everybody knows, ONE is going to be upstairs in the new studio. Pre and post will continue to be in here, but we got new chairs. Feels good on my butt. And Oilers Nation Radio is also going to be in here. ONE there, real life also upstairs. Things are going to be moving around for a little bit, and by January, you're going to know what's coming as well. Bag Milk's in the chat. I don't know the context of this, but he said, Aaron, I just wanted you to know that I'm hairless from the eyebrows down.
That's good.
I don't believe you. Pics.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Oh, brother. Also, Final Buzzer says Waz has no pants.
Well, these are pants. They're beige, I believe.
Can confirm Waz is wearing pants right now. Hey, Peyton's a new intern. You're going to be joining us in January. He says, wow, those chairs look amazing. And they do feel pretty good. But let's talk about the Oilers. Because, they won 5 of their last 6 games, and everything kind of seems to be clicking right now, which is funny. Well, they were doing it while dealing with some injuries. 2 specific things have jumped out to me so far lately. The first one being the Oilers' PK, brother. They haven't given up a goal in 4 games, and that comes after they killed off 16 or 17 consecutive penalties in a row. I cannot remember. Since November 12th, the Oilers, they have the best penalty kill in the entire NHL at 92.3%. And the second thing has been the return to form of Stuart Skinner, man. He's had above a 930 in 5 of his last 6, I do believe. He's won 4 straight games, and both of those areas tonight are going to be key, the PK and goaltending. I mentioned, yes, you look at that Tampa roster, sure they're missing, some talent in there, specifically one, Steven Stamkos, but they've got talent all over. Obviously, when they have 3 dudes playing three dudes? Yes, 3 dudes playing for Team Canada upcoming, and that doesn't even include one Nikita Kucherov. It doesn't matter what their roster turnover. Tampa, 2nd in the NHL in goals per game. They're 7th in the NHL on the power play, so that PK of the Oilers is going to be tested tonight, and defense, frankly, is just going to need to be on their shit this evening. We have seen track meets in the past between both of these teams. Both games last year smashed the over, and the Oilers lost both of those affairs. Feels like defense is going to be needed tonight because I'm expecting a little bit of a track meet tonight, Was.
I agree 100%. And do you want me to get my thing here?
Yep.
Because I feel like this is a perfect transition, because what does Tampa Bay have in common with the Blue Eyes White Dragon?
Oh my God, you are pulling out a card.
They both attack with White Lightning.
Boom!
We've got multiple.
There you go.
Let
me see that.
And they've got a couple dragons and Kucherov Hagel, Braden Point, Victor Hedman, Jay Gensel. All the lineup.
It's an accent. We've
got 4 Blue Eyes White Dragons here, by the way. Just saying. Braden Point, Victor Hedman, Jay Gensel, Kucherov, Hagel, all in the lineup tonight, and each have 20-plus points this season, but they no longer have their Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon in Steven Stamkos. There you go, baby. Look at that. This gave me an opportunity to flex my Yu-Gi-Oh collection.
No, that's fair. Was
Yeah.
those are legit. Those
Thank
are in
you.
good packaging. So I was partially right because earlier I saw Waz digging in his little thing over there, and I was like, "Is it a hockey card? Is it a card of something?" Because of what would actually fit there. Was excellent commitment to the bits. You gotta like that. Why do you have so many?
Because I like them. They're really cool.
Fun fact: I recently learned how to. I guess I couldn't even say learned, but I attempted to play Yu-Gi-Oh for the first time. I'm not gonna lie to you. No, when I had someone properly explain it to me, it wasn't that complicated.
There's so many rules.
It wasn't that hard, but yes, I needed that person to be there. Without that person, I have no idea what I would have done.
I can show my other cards at the end of the show.
Yeah, I unfortunately didn't pack my Uggi cards today.
Want to trade?
Pat, you pack yours?
No, I didn't.
It's time, dude.
Let me know. That was brutal. Let me know in the chat. Do you guys still have Yu-Gi-Oh cards? I had Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and Digimon cards, I believe was the last thing I had. But you know what Darian has? A super chat in there for $2.79 and says, Cup year. Cup year, Waz. It's going to be a cup year. Chell says, LMAO, we love Waz. Evander Kane, I'll trade you for a Charizard. Ryan Spockowski with the meanest one of the day, but I'm going to laugh. He says, well, I'll show your V card now.
Wait, check for that. It's not there for good reason. It's why I have a girlfriend.
PSA 10 Yu-Gi-Oh! That's not how you spell Yu-Gi-Oh! All right. We're not sure if it was anymore, people.
Last thing I want to add, Kucherov, by the way, leads the Lightning in points on the road with 24 in 12 games.
Yeah, he's been damn good. I mentioned he missed 2 games recently, and then he came back Saturday night against the Vancouver Canucks, and he was back to old form as he had 3 points in that one. One thing to talk just for news of note, we did get an injury update today about one man that has been clouded with obscurity for the entire time. He's been injured with an undisclosed injury, and that is one Victor Arvidsson. Pat, can you pull it up here for me? We did get some news earlier from a tweet here that says you are not. He has resumed skating. Yeah, there it is. Per Oilers head coach Chris Knobloch. Arvidsson has resumed skating. The hope is he'll participate in practice in the next week. Who knows? I would be very excited to once see that, but sure, he might return next week. I guess that would help during this murderer's row. I have mentioned I'm not holding my breath when it comes to Arvidsson. Nobody can tell me he's 50-50 to play. I would not believe him, but this is great news for as much as we've poked fun, me specifically, at Victor Arvidsson with this injury. And I don't want to make fun of the guy. It's just because it's been undisclosed for forever. We know Arvidsson's injury history. We don't know what it's been. So when I'm scared and I'm fearful of things, I tend to make jokes about them when I don't understand them. But all I know is if he returns, he would obviously be a nice jolt of life into this lineup, because we need to remember before he got injured he was cooking on that second line with Vasily Podkolzin and Leon Draisaitl. Him and Leon had chemistry aplenty, that weird European connection going on right now. And while I have liked what Kasperi Kapanen has brought into that role, we've seen Connor Brown for spurts in that role. Be honest with you, didn't really like him up there. I like Kapanen a little bit more. I want Arvidsson back in that spot because of the chemistry that he in fact did show when and if, knock on wood, that he ever returns. Was obviously Arvidsson. We make fun about him. We would like to see him be back in this lineup. Team Sweden would like to see him back in this lineup. And my question to you, if and when he returns, would you immediately throw him back in that top 6 slot?
I don't know. I think I'd put him in maybe the third line just to get it his feet wet. It's been obviously a couple games, and last time he was playing for the Oilers, he played against the Islanders. He played 14 minutes, and before that, he scored against the Canucks in that big victory. So he's been all right for the Edmonton Oilers. I don't think he's been completely useless. Like I've seen people on social media being saying, like, what?
Because they're box score hunters. They weren't watching before he got injured.
And like Victor Arvidsson, if we look through his career, I mean, sure, he's not getting as many minutes with Edmonton, clearly, because we have some really good players in our top 6. But that's not what we need him to be. We need him to be a solid contributor from time to time. And last year with the LA Kings, he played 18 games, 6 goals, 9 assists. So he was a point per game player, but then he got injured. And that's probably been the one knock with Arvidsson is his injury history. So I've liked what I've seen from him, especially he's a hard worker. He gets into the greasy areas. He's not afraid to get into the paint. And he's a player.
Loves to dive.
Yeah, unfortunately. But he is reliable in the top 6 once he gets going. And my question to you really is, who do we see first? Victor Arvidsson in the Oilers lineup or Haley Welch? Or she's still sleeping? Is she still sleeping?
This reference to Hawk Tour Girl?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it's true. She's in hot water right now, right?
Yeah.
She,
But
one of those,
Victor Arvidsson in the Oilers lineup.
Somebody let me know. Where is Haley Welsh right now? Has she been posting? We can touch on that because you brought it up. Anyone who's bitching about the financial advice that the girl that hammered said, spit on that thing. What are we even doing here, people? What are we doing? You deserve to be losing money if you're taking financial advice.
We're working on Bordzy coin.
Actually, that's a good time to segue into Bordzy coin. Trust me, I'm super trustworthy. I like that was. Oh, we also had one other injury update as well today that came out involving one Evander Kane.
I actually didn't hear this. This is the first time I'm hearing this.
Nice. Throw up the tweet right here. I believe we have another one. And it said from Nobby, direct quote, everybody reads spec, right? You're not going to see or hear anything on him, Evander Kane, for at least a month. Knobloch with an update on Evander Kane. And
it's fine.
I honestly think, and I'm curious people in the chat as well, Pat, you as well, I think I'm in the camp of I want Evander Kane to be placed on LTIR. I want to game this system. I've been watching the Vegas Golden Knights be doing this for a number of years now. We've seen the Tampa Bay Lightning do it. I want my opportunity, and I want to be able to abuse that cap space, but I don't know if that will in fact happen. Obviously, if Kaner is healthy enough to be in this lineup, he should be in. He would bring some good energy. We've been talking constantly about your line combos you could have with the healthy Arvidsson, with the healthy Evander Kane. Who's sitting out? Corey Perry, Kasperi Kapanen, Connor Brown. There's a lot of options, and it's a very good problem to have. And what Kaner would bring is physicality, and you could argue that is one thing the Edmonton Oilers have lacked so far this year. I looked this stat up and was astounded, jaw on the floor. I've noticed it's just been Vasily Podkolzin laying it for the most part. I didn't realize it has literally only been Vasily Podkolzin, but the Oilers, they are dead last in the NHL in hits. Boston, the Bruins, they lead the NHL with 784. Oilers are dead last. Let's go around the room. Waz, what is your guess? Pat, what's your guess? Where are the Oilers? How many hits do they have?
I'm going to go 234.
Pat?
I will go
784 is the league high.
400.
They have 363 hits on the year. Dead last, 45 less than the Avalanche. And shout out to Lance Kane for this. I explained this to both of you guys. Lance doing his research last night around 2:30 a.m. He sent me a DM, but I loved it because he had some good info in there. And he mentioned how Chris Knobloch recently in an interview was saying that he doesn't necessarily value hits like other head coaches tend to do, and that isn't an area that he's overly concerned with. But, besides that point, Kaner, that is what he brings, right? We've seen it in the NHL playoffs. Remember that Vancouver series before Kaner got injured with whatever that was? Him and Little Z, Nikita Zadorov, as I nicknamed him, they were going at it. Kaner was lining up defenders on the forecheck, and I think the Oilers could use more of that. Who knows? There's been obscurity around every injury this season for the Oilers. Kaner as well. Thoughts on, do you want to see him come back midseason, or do you want to abuse the rules like I do?
I want to see Evander Kane be the healthiest he possibly can be, because
so abuse the system.
Yeah,
let's
but honestly, let's see how far we can go with this and just have a healthy and fit Kaner, because we remember when he first joined the Oilers, because of whatever was happening, he was healthy as he can be, And he was scoring right out of the gate with Connor McDavid right beside his wing. Now I don't imagine it's going to happen again. That productivity was insane when he joined the Oilers. But I feel like we could still see it again to a lesser extent. And, I might be the opposite. Evander Kane, he's enjoying time with his family right now.
He does it. He's having a very fun time.
UFC 309. He's living the good life right now. And you saw that Christmas suit he was wearing, man, was looking schmexy, Evander Kane. I love your suit game. Shout out to you. And he's got good style.
Pat, thoughts on how schmexy Evander Kane has looked so far? And do you want to abuse like I do?
No, I think I'm with Waz on this one. I think I would like to see him back in the lineup. I think part of that too is just, we saw the advantage of having home ice in the playoffs can be, and if we can have Kane back and healthy and help push us to that, I think it's big for the team, but also the lines and stuff, right? Like even just getting his feet under him before the playoffs would be nice. I do want to game the system, don't get me wrong, and bring in the biggest piece.
But it's that balance of you want to be getting into the dance while cooking already. You want to be hot.
Yeah. I think that's beneficial, and he can find his line. Like even right now, we're still jumbling lines. Granted, I think we found a good core here of lines that I would like to keep together, but when Kane comes back, there's going to be some shuffling and some time to adjust, and I'd rather do that now than in playoffs.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's one. I'm just so focused on gaining the system.
Is that a good problem to have for the Oilers though when Kane comes back?
Oh, it's the best problem.
You're gonna have so much competition in the forwards, right?
It's gonna be, and that's one thing that we talked about that hasn't really been there a lot this year. You talk about the preseason, right? The only roster battle that was going down was Philp and Derek Ryan. And it wasn't even a battle because Noah Philp clearly outplayed him. I'm sorry, was. But Derek Ryan still got that 4C opportunity and continues to still have it. Mackay and Dry says you're a philanthropist.
Thank you. I was going to ask you real quick, what's the over-under for Derek Ryan's time on ice tonight? Because last game he had about 6 minutes.
I'm going to say the over-under should be set at 8 minutes, and I'm going to take the under. Against a team like Tampa Bay, DR, I love you.
It's hard to accept.
Yeah, all right, that's enough.
Move on.
Evander Kane himself is in the chat right now, and he says, I'm getting depressed not running my mouth on all these punks. Yep, Sasky Oil, Evander blowing kisses in Vegas. Final buzzer says that's a February problem.
Yes,
good point, because right now we got a Tampa Bay problem on our hands this evening, and I think this is going to be one hell of a matchup. Did you know that Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and Nikita Kucherov are responsible for the last 8 Art Ross trophies in the NHL? That is insane. Let that sink in. 3 dudes over 8 years. The only other time that's happened where 3 dudes have met in a game was 1997. Gretzky, Lemieux, and Jaromir Jagr. They had done it back in 1997, but star power aplenty this evening, boys, because McDavid and Kuch, they're both tied for 7th in NHL scoring with 37 points. 5 back of the NHL lead. Who has it still?
Martin Necas?
Yeah, Martin Necas still has it, which is insane to me. Draisaitl, he's tied for the league lead with 19 goals. And right on his ass, hot on his tail, is Braden Point. He's got 18, sole possession of 3rd in the NHL. And throw in Zach Hyman's late heroics here, and we got some fireworks on our hands this evening. And get this, both teams, right, they're tearing it up in their last 10. They are both 6-3-1 in their last 10 games. Tampa has outscored their opponents 45-30 in that span. The Oilers, they've outscored the opposition 35-26, but all 4 special teams units have been on fire too. In their last 10, the Oilers power play 29.2%, and their PK at an even 90%. And the Lightning, even better on the power play, 37.9% in their last 10 and 84% on the PK. And brother, I've said it here, you might not think of Tampa as that cup contender. They are 4th in the Atlantic Division right now. They are red hot. So are the Edmonton Oilers. I'm expecting the over. I'm expecting fireworks, and I'm expecting Connor and Cooch to close in on that league lead.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this game. In my opinion, this is one of the most exciting, most enjoyable matchups in the NHL. If we look back to last year, the Lightning outscored the Oilers 13-8. It was a high-scoring affair in those 2 meetings. In the last meeting, the Oilers lost 7-4 to the Lightning. However, Edmonton put up 57 shots. Vasilevsky was in net. He put up a 930. Unfortunately, Skinner was in the opposite end with a 773 save percentage, and Tampa only put up 24 shots. However, 6 players from that last meeting aren't on Tampa Bay anymore, and fortunately, one of those players is Steven Stamkos, who scored 4 goals against Edmonton last December. Chernak and Cirelli who also played in that game, but they're both likely to be out of the lineup here. So 8 players on Tampa won't be in the Lightning's lineup from the last time the Oilers played them. 6 players on Tampa Bay, by the way, do have 20-plus points, while the Oilers only have 3 in Bouchard, Draisaitl, and McDavid. However, Tampa's fourth line doesn't produce much, so we don't have to worry about them, with only 4 goals combined with those players. Meanwhile, the third line has scored 9 goals so far, and Edmonton's third line has combined 8 goals, same with our fourth line. Last thing I just want to mention with the Tampa Bay Lightning, if you look through some of their scores recently, they score a lot, but they've also kind of allowed a lot. Against the Blue Jackets, that was a 7-6 overtime game. The Capitals put 5 past them. The Maple Leafs put 5 past them. So you can score against the Lightning. It is possible, but they will bite you back.
I see people in here. DR still has 0 goals. Yeah, no, we knew that. We knew that.
I have that in my
I like this from Ryan. This is what I said. My emphasis is on goaltending and the PK tonight. And a good way to do that, just don't take unnecessary penalties this evening. I understand, a lot easier said than done, but you can't let this team go out. Colton's in. That's my buddy. 6'5" or 7'5" Oilers regulation, depending if McDavid or Dry hit the empty net for once. Yeah, I don't know about... Also, Colton's in here. Pat, I can share this with you as well. So last night, I've made fantasy playoffs in football 3 out of 4 leagues. The only one I didn't make it, or I had the opportunity, was in my main league, of course. And I needed points from T. Higgins to beat my buddy Colton. And he's coming in here to talk shit right now. T. Higgins himself even apologized.
Yeah, man, I know you too. I also had T. Higgins.
Yeah, your team's a joke, so we don't even need to go there.
Bag milk, yeah, 2 players on bye.
Colton, thank you for coming into my chat just so you could rub that in. I appreciate that. Let's go now. Before I need to know, Pat, I want to talk about the ho. Hope will never die. Get ready to crank up the cheer. Head on over to nationgear.ca where you can get this fine piece of Nation Gear, Pucks Cheer, and holiday gear. nationgear.ca. Go buy these bad boys before Christmas. It's a great gift, great something to wear at your holiday party as well. I can just do my own billboarding right now because these are still available. Jasper Bears minor hockey sweaters on the website, nationgear.ca. Pick up yours today. All proceeds, of course, going to Jasper Minor Hockey and the Bears. And you can go help them out. Come on now, it's holiday time. It's Christmas time. Let's pay it forward and do what we can. Also, sweater looks pretty good, man, if I have to say. I don't want to toot my own horn. Now, let's get into our need-to-know info from our friends at Wilhauk Beef Jerky, because only the finest tasting meat products earn that sweet, sweet Wilhauk name. Made from 100% pure Alberta beef, their jerky is aged, seasoned, marinated, and smoked to savory perfection. Their jerky gladly fills orders of any size. You can find their jerky, sausage, and other products out of their Leduc location. Or for more information, go to WilhaukBeefJerky.com. So as you mentioned, Wallace, first of 2 meetings this season between Oilers and Tampa. Both games last year, the over smashed. So I think we like goals tonight. Tampa won 7-4 December 14th and 6-4 back on November 18th. Now, since November 15th, this is on the Oilers side of things. They have gone from, I believe as Bag Milk put it, the mediocre, mushy middle to being one of the best teams in the league. They are, since October 15th, 15-7-2. That ranks 4th overall in the NHL, 2nd in the Western Conference behind the Minnesota Wild, who we, in fact, play on Thursday night. Now, unfortunately, the Oilers, they still sit 7 points back of the Vegas Golden Knights with a game in hand. And as we know, we're going to take them on Saturday nights as well. Connor McDavid, he's been on fire lately, but you already knew that. In his last 13 games, Connor has 10 goals and 17 assists for 25 points. Zach Hyman, obviously, 3 goals since returning from injury with 10 shots on goal in those contests. We like a Zach Hyman shot prop again this evening. And, of course, Leon, just doing Leon things on his own line. He has 4 points in his last 2 games. And I believe we still do not know. Check Twitter right now. They are going with Stuart Skinner. Okay, so we can expect Stu in there. 9.72 record on the year. 892 save percentage could be better. I think we spent 5 to 10 minutes talking about Stu's save percentage today, and Jay saying that it needs to be better. Yes, I think we all know that it needs to be better, and it has been better lately. But you mentioned those last 2 games against the Lightning. If you don't want to hear this, put on your earmuffs because you're not going to like it. 2 career games versus the Lightning. Stu is 0-2-0 with a 778 save percentage and a 5.22 goals against average. Yeesh. So we like the over tonight. That's why I mentioned that. On the other side of things, the Tampa Bay Lightning, they just won their last game 4-2 in Van, kicking off their Western Conference road trip. Cooch, he returned to the lineup, had 3 points. But in that game, brother, they lost some dudes. Anthony Cirelli, who is on Team Canada, expected to center that 4th line, which I haven't been a huge fan of. I was kind of excited to watch him tonight. That's why I'm going to have my eye on Brandon Hagel a lot. But Cirelli, he plays reckless sometimes. He took a tough one where his tailbone and hip went into this bench, and it looked painful as shit. I'm sure it's nice and bruised up, so he's not going to go tonight. You also mentioned Eric Chernak on the back end. He is expected not to play as well. Talking stats, though, it's Cooch, it's Braden Point. Cooch, 7th in the NHL, Point, 3rd, 7th in the NHL in points. Braden Point, 3rd in goals. And the Bolts have 10 players with 10 or more goals. No, not 10. Whatever. They have Point with 18, Cooch with 13, Jake Gensel with 12, Brandon Hagel with 12, Anthony Cirelli with 11. And as you mentioned, all of them have over 24 points, which is insane. And I don't know yet if it's Vasilevsky. We will find that out when we get into our starting goaltenders report. I hope it's not Andre Vasilevsky, if I'm going to be completely honest, but who knows? We will find out. Let's go now. Let's go to our Shirt for Giant storyline, brought to you by Shirt for the Giant, the presenting sponsor of Pre-Gaming with Bordzy. Tired of dealership hassles? Well, Shirt Ford and Shirt Park is all about convenience and upfront pricing. With their giant deal program, get clear, no nonsense pricing on new and used Fords online with all incentives included. Plus, enjoy the ease of mobile service, free pickup and delivery, and same day or next day service appointments. Come on now, they got that valet service. They will pick up your vehicle. They'll take it to Shirt Ford. They will service it, and they will return it to you. If you plan that out properly, you can drive into work. You can let them do everything, and by the time you leave, your vehicle will be sitting outside. And if you don't have your winter tires on by now, you're probably the person that caused that accident that Pat made him late to getting to the studio today. I'm curious, I'll let you go first here. Do you have a Shirt for Giant storyline this evening? What are you looking for in this game? Maybe it could be a key to victory, whatever you want.
I'm just looking at the offense, really, but particularly I kind of have my eye on the bottom 6, like I mentioned last game. The bottom 6 hasn't been scoring enough. That's fine because they're more of, utility players who play in your PK, who can play in certain situations. So I don't really fully blame them for not scoring a ton. I mean, Adam Henrique now hasn't had a goal in 9 games. However, he does have 6 points in that span. So he's been producing. He's been useful. Connor Brown, no goal in 12 games now. I don't know if that's a problem. Mattias Janmark hasn't scored since November 3rd, and Derek Ryan has yet to score a goal this season. That's where we're at with yes. I'd just like to see some goals from the bottom 6. Maybe tonight's good, especially it's a high-scoring game, a team that can, you can score against the Tampa Bay Lightning. They can allow goals. I know even if Vasilevsky's in the net. I
think what I'm looking for, obviously, my storyline to this is just litmus test game. The Oilers have been looking like the Edmonton Oilers as of old, as of late here, and everything's starting to click. Your lines, Pat, as you mentioned, you're starting to find that chemistry. The power play back looking like the Oilers. The PK looking like Stanley Cup Finals, Edmonton Oilers. But as you mentioned, St. Louis, good squad. They're not at what Florida's going to be at, Vegas is going to be at, Minnesota's at, and Tampa, while they're not a division leader like those teams, I still think of them like a Stanley Cup contender. I'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it. I should make it that way. Is they're a good squad until I'm proven otherwise. And the Oilers, they need to bring their game. As They don't have Stamkos. You still have Cooch, Braden Point, Andre Vasilevsky, Brandon Hagel. This team is deep as shit. Victor Hedman is a name I forgot to mention even there. This, to me, is a big litmus test game. And now, let's take a peek at the Edmonton Oilers' projected lineup this evening. We are expecting no changes because, frankly, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Your top line, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins with Connor McDavid and Zach Hyman. Your second line, Vasily Podkolzin with Leon Draisaitl and Kasperi Kapanen. Your third line, Matthias Janmark with Adam Henrique and Jeff Skinner. Corey Perry with
Derek Ryan
and Connor Brown. Your decor at Coleman Bush, Nurse with Stetcher, and Brett Kulak, my boy, with Ty Emberson. So you talked about the bottom six, and you want to see depth shine through tonight. Well, I got one that I think we need to talk about this guy because he's been very much improved lately, and he's not getting a lot of shine for it. So that's what we do here on Pregaming. And I'm talking about Adam Henrique, Rico. Yes, he's had a quiet year points-wise. I believe he has 2 goals, 7 assists in 27 games played. Not ideal if you are checking the box scores, but he's a dude who has been turning it on as of late, and we've seen that with that Edmonton Oilers third line of Matthias Janmark, Jeff Skinner, and Rico. Since November 1st, Rico has outscored his opposition 10-3 in 200 minutes at 5-on-5. So it's starting to come through. And on the PK, brother, he's only been on the ice for 1 goal against in his last 22 minutes shorthanded. That's insane. Those are incredibly good numbers. He gave a great interview today. It was, I believe, the Oilers tweeted it out, and he was talking about how the chemistry's there, the consistency in the pairings. They're starting to feel exactly like they did in the Stanley Cup Finals. And yes, we need this man to score more than 2 goals on the season, but at least when you're playing in a bottom 6 role, was if you're not going to score, you can't get scored on. And that is exactly what Rico has done. Shout out to Jason Greger, his game day breakdown. It's in the description of this YouTube episode if you want to go read. But he pointed out that in 65 minutes against elite 5v5 competition, Adam Henrique has outscored said competition 5-0. So when he's out there line matching and trying to play against the other team's best, something I could see later this evening against this Tampa Bay Lightning, he has been there. He has stood up to the challenge. And yes, you want more production. At least he's getting it done defensively. And dude, that third line, it's what you mentioned, right? Jeff Skinner, Janmark, Rico, they're starting to come into their own. Skinner's been getting the attention. Janmark's been putting up the points. But Rico, I think, has flown under the radar lately, and I just want him to get his flowers. Was thoughts on Rico's play as of late?
Buddy, I was told that the Oilers have no depth.
Right?
Like,
fuck off.
It's, I always hear, like, I love that you pointed out because it proves to a lot of people that you can be a useful player in the bottom 6 without scoring goals. And I mentioned that he hasn't scored in 9 games, but he's still putting up a couple points, 6 points in that span. And the fact that he's outscoring the opposition when he's on the ice, especially against the league competition, and even at
and not just outscoring him 5-0.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. So you can't sleep on stats like that. And I remember last year, Ryan McLeod was getting a lot of heat because he wasn't scoring goals, but he was still, like, the underlying numbers were really good in McLeod's favor, especially with how he would transport the puck. He was solid defensively, but people didn't care about that because he didn't hit, right? And I mean, the Oilers don't seem to hit that much either, right? So it's I like those numbers you provided.
I think it was that McLeod was scared or allergic out the middle of the ice. I don't know which one.
Thank you for educating me.
Hey,
because if I just looked at Adam Henrique's goals in the last couple games, I'd say he's bad, but we are intelligent here, and we like to educate each other.
As I said, box score hunters. Yes, you do. And I'm not excusing the lack of production, right? If you're playing on the third line and you're getting the opportunities that Rico is getting with some skilled players, you look at Janmark's numbers, he's been able to produce 5v5, so there really is no excuse. If you're not going to score, at least you're not getting scored on. If you're doing it against the league competition, good for you. And a strong point here from Mackay and Dry. Does Rico get a pass for being the most attractive guy on our team? Jawline and beard.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
1,000% he gets a pass.
Well, I'm not surprised because he's got Polish heritage.
Does he actually?
Yeah, I confirmed that with his brother.
Shout out Greta Barrieg when me and his brother.
That's where I met his brother.
Shut up,
I had to ask him, are you guys Polish? I heard that you guys are kind of, it's like apparently his grandmother.
But continue to that third line, loyal to Oil. The team is playing like a team. The new additions are finding their way. Let's go. Cup, yeah. Cup year. Also,
yeah.
Statistic Angel Jay Skinner is starting to find his game. It's nice to see finally. Yeah, it really has been, right? And when we thought the beginning of the season, you look at Jeff Skinner, we all obviously have thought top 6 skill should be in with top 6 players. Shout out to Lance again, because he pointed out in that Nobby interview that Nobby said what he values is defensive awareness, defensive consistency, not so much on the points, which explains why Skinner is stuck on that third line pretty consistently here, fourth line at points. But let's move that conversation to the second line, because Jay Downton today on ONE had a very good point where we were going through the lineup. And Pat, if you just pull it up one more time, you look at that top 6 and the second line specifically, and had I looked you dead in the face to start this season and said 27 games in, we're going to be rocking Leon Draisaitl with Vasily Podkolzin and Kasperi Kapanen, what would you have said?
Are we playing via GM mode? Are we just like claiming players off waivers because they're always on waivers in NHL 25?
Or I messed with their sliders and I made Podkolzin and Kapanen elite top 6 players. But the crazy part is both of those guys, I think both have 3 goals on the season. Kapanen has 2, I believe, that were in St. Louis, but on the year 3 goals each. And it's a very funny argument that I think if you polled most Oilers fans tonight going into this, are those the 2 dudes you want stapled next to Leon Draisaitl? And I think the answer would be yes, especially Vasily Podkolzin. We know this. It's nothing new. He's been consistent all year, brings that piss and vinegar, big body, down low, physical presence. Give puck to skill player, go to net. But Kapanen, he's been a very big surprise so far here. I expect him to be thrown on waivers the moment Zach Hyman kind of came back, would have been my thought, but he's done enough to stay there, right? As he's found those quiet areas. He scored a goal. He's drawn a number of penalties, but it's crazy that we're sitting here right now, 27 games in, and being okay with these 2 guys. And I think who needs his credit the most is Leon Draisaitl, because this is nothing new for Leon Draisaitl. We talked forever that Leon does not get the same line mates as one Connor McDavid, yet Leon Draisaitl continues to produce no matter who is on his line. He tends to elevate his line mates. Last season, Ryan McLeod's best play was with Dry. Warren Fogle scored 20 goals and got paid over the summer because he was playing with Leon Draisaitl. And I think these 2 dudes are just another 2 in a long list of forwards that Leon Draisaitl makes look better than they are.
Yeah, I mean, Kapanen hasn't really caught my eye a ton recently.
To me, it's just when he draws penalties, because he's done it a lot.
Like, it's not been a bad thing. I think Podkolzin's been a little bit more noticeable. I've also watched him a little longer than Kapanen so far, so I'm easing to him. I love Podkolzin's work ethic. We always hear about like how he's the last guy to come off of practice, and he consistently works hard, and the coaching staff is rewarding with him. And I mean, Leon Draisaitl just clearly loves playing with him. I think he likes his tenacity.
Oh, 100% he does. And how could you not? Right? That's why he liked playing with Warren Fogle. And Fogle wasn't as physical or have as big of a body as Vasily Podkolzin, but it's the kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. Fogs did it. Pods is doing it very good as well. Final one we got to talk about, because once again, shout out to Greg's for this. Darnell Nurse has been an absolute revelation this season. And the crazy part is the fan base reaction and love, the pendulum has completely swung over from where it was last season, where it was trade him, put him on waivers, put him in the press box. Once again, I think you poll a number of Oilers fans this year, and they're going to say that Darnell has been one of the most consistent defensemen on this team. And that's because Oilers fans aren't dumb. We can see it on the ice, and we can see the steps that he's taken in his game lately. He has been dominant over the last month. Get this. In 240 minutes since November 1st, Darnell has been on the ice for 2 goals against at 5v5. He has the lowest goals and the lowest expected goals. So analytics guys suck it there too. Darnell has been awesome. He's outscored his elite competition 4-1 in that span. And the crazy thing is, he's done it splitting time with D partners. Yeah. He's done it with Troy Stecher, who needs his credit as well, because he has kind of slowed down, quieted that top 4 defensemen need to make a trade. We've been seeing a number of trades made recently here in these last couple weeks, as I think the panic is starting to set in for teams. Emberson has helped stave a little bit of that, Stecher has staved off a little bit of that, but Darnell's done it with Stech, and he's done it with Brett Kulak when he's playing on his opposite side and flipping over. And the bottom line is Darnell Nurse has been great lately, regardless of who he has played with. And The Oilers Waz are an incredibly tough team to play against. When Darnell is playing up to his capabilities, that's exactly what he's doing right now.
Yeah, and Darnell Nurse, what he's really known for is his skating. I think he's been utilizing that very well. Not only that, he's been very aggressive, and he's been on guys and just being strong and hard to play against, and that's what you want from Darnell Nurse. And I think it was Sunil on Oilersnation.com. He put out an article how he said there's a lot of results and evidence that shows the Oilers have been deploying him a lot with Leon Draisaitl, and that's what's been really bringing out some of these strong results. So it's very interesting to know. I go recommend you read that article by Sunil. It's very interesting. And Darnell Nurse, I mean, he's 29 years old, right? And he's just an absolute workhorse. That's the one thing that always stands out to me is about Darnell Nurse is the amount of minutes he can play. And I think it's it's something that's not really talked about with certain players, because I think a player like Evan Bouchard could maybe, if he plays too many minutes, that's going to catch up to him, and he's gonna be starting to play a little sloppy, and mentally he's gonna be a little slow. Because I know, like, sometimes when you're playing sports and you get kind of gassed, it's hard to play to the peak of your abilities and be mentally there.
Brain doesn't function without oxygen.
Exactly. So for me, I feel like Darnell Nurse, he's 29, but I think he's gonna age like a fine wine.
I think he has been aging.
Yeah.
We love it. I'm also laughing at everybody in the chat. Sergeant Battle, they're still talking. That's why I love this chat, as long as you throw down all your courtesy likes.
Yeah.
Guys, talk about whatever you want. They're talking about Stetcher's the Riz God. I bet he pulls.
Yes.
I'm also sure he pulls as well. That dude is jacked secretively. All right, let's go now. Starting goaltender report brought to you by Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. Hit the trails this winter and the waves next summer. As fellow hockey fans, the team at Sherwood Power Sports and Marine are helping Oilers Nation fans gear up. They're home of an ATV for just $50 bi-weekly, or cruise the open water in a boat for as low as $105 bi-weekly. Sherwood Power Sports and Marine are hockey fans helping hockey fans get ready for their next adventure with motorcycles, quads, e-bikes, and boats. So tonight we did get late word. It is going to be Stuart Skinner versus Andre Vasilevsky this evening. Obviously, Stu, we know he has been red hot as of late, looking very much so. Yes, you still don't like the 892 save percentage. The 292 I can deal with, but he's above 500 on the season. And let's remember, Stu has also only played 136 games in his career. He's inconsistent. We know this is where he starts to move on up. Damn it, we killed a lot of time here because I wanted to. We can go quick here about this. Recent news. Mackenzie Blackwood was traded to the Colorado Avalanche. That is a name that Oilers fans have been talking about plenty recently. I'm not down for any goaltender trade. Stu is the man. Calvin Pickard is a fine backup, and you're not going to find a bargain tandem goaltending duo that is proven in the playoffs like those two are, and are as cheap as those two are, right, Stu? 2.7 Pickard. He's just $1 million. We saw the return for Mackenzie Blackwood. Pat, I don't know if you can find the return.
Yeah,
I know you
I'll
made the graphic. Take your time. But was Blackwood a guy you were interested in, and would you have done that trade? I wouldn't have. What do you think?
I don't know if I would have done it now. I think the Oilers are waiting until the deadline. They're trying to accrue as much cap space as they can. Ideally, I would have liked Blackwood in a perfect world as a 1B, 1A situation with Stuart Skinner. I think that would have been awesome. However, it just wasn't the cards, and the Oilers, they've stood pat. They've said they're going to sink or swim with Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard. And personally, I've liked Pickard. I know the analytics crowd has said no, he's a terrible backup, one of the worst backups. I don't know, man. I put a tweet yesterday.
Watching? No, because you're not watching if you're an analytics nerd.
They're like, well, look, I'm like,
Nice,
I watch the games, and I'm like, Pickard's been fine for a backup. Yeah, he lets in a stinky goal here and there. I'm not expecting perfection from a backup, and I think for people, it's not really Pickard. They just want more support for Stuart Skinner when he does start to slump, and they think that Blackwood could be that guy to kind of relieve him.
Picks has been that guy. He's also done it in the most stressful situations in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
I don't know.
FOH, F out of here.
I 100% agree with you. I think Pickard's been solid. I've always enjoyed him when he's in net, and he stepped up big time in the playoffs, right? Last year against Vancouver. We can't really forget about that. So I sure the numbers don't reflect that he is a good goalie, but I watched the games, and I think he's been good for a backup. Look, we've seen a lot of bad goalies here in Edmonton. Pickard has not been one of them.
Yeah, exactly right. All right, and once again, I always say the most important stat for backup goaltender, the win column, 6, 3, and 0. He wins twice as many than he loses. We'll take that. Got to go quick. Vasilevsky, he gets to start for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Shocker.
Yeah.
Andre Vasilevsky is
Really
very good at hockey. 12-8-1. 2.40 goals against with a 909 save percentage. He also has 2 shutouts this season. Let's go take a peek at the Tampa Bay projected lineup brought to you by Greta Baryig, because we love Greta and it's where Oilers Nation loves to party, pre or post, weekday or weekend. We're going to be there all season long. I'm itching to get back in there for another event. Frankly, it's because I'm itching for pizza taquitos. I got a mad hankering for some of those. What did you say you were going to get the next time? What did you say?
They've got Jamaican spring rolls.
That was it. Jamaican spring rolls.
I need to try it. It's on the menu, but I had my Guinness.
My Guinness. All right. You ready for me to butcher some names in the bottom 6 here? The top line, Jake Ensel, Braden Point, Nikita Kucherov.
Oh,
Shit. Brandon Hagel, second line with Nick Paul and Cam Atkinson. All right, here we go. Gage Goncalves, I think. Who knows? With Connor Geeky and Mitchell Chaffee. Zemgus Girgensons with Luke Glendening and Michael Esamont, who is a tough son of a bitch. Your deep pairings, Victor Hedman with Darren Radish, Ryan McDonough with JJ Moser, Emil Lilleberg with Nick Perrick. So obviously, you look in that bottom 6 and you go, who? I know Connor Geeky, I know Glendening, I know Girgensons.
Like
I know Eastmont, but
I mentioned here earlier that Tampa's fourth line does not produce much. Only 4 goals combined with those players. Meanwhile, the third line has scored 9 goals so far. My bold prediction is that Gage Gonsalves scores his first NHL goal tonight, because everyone tends to do that against the Oilers.
Yeah, that's actually a very good
He's
point.
only played like 13.
All right, I wonder what his odds are to score,
Yeah, there you
people.
go.
I wonder what they are. We took a look there. Was just play me.
Yeah.
Who's your player to watch tonight? There's a number of guys here. I do wish Anthony Cirelli was going to be in the lineup.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not for the Oilers, but I want to get a look at this dude because he's going to be on Team Canada. Brandon Hagel's going to be on Team Canada. Braden Point's going to be on Team Canada. Hedman's going to be on Team Sweden. This team's loaded through and through. Who's your player to watch?
I'm going to go a little off the board. Nick Paul. He's a big guy, 6'4", 230 pounds. He scored 24 goals last year, 2 in his previous 4 games for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and averages about 19 to 20 minutes a night. He provided 1 point in both meetings against Edmonton last year. And with some of these injuries with Cirelli out, maybe he's going to get a little bit more ice time. He's a mean, tough SOB. He showed up for the Lightning in the playoffs.
I could see him scoring a goal tonight.
If there's anyone's going to get a sneaky goal, it's probably going to be Nick Paul. He hasn't scored a goal against the Oilers since when he was with the Senators, though. So there's that.
Hey, who knows? I will take my obvious player to watch besides Cooch. I'm going to go with Braden Point. Pointer has 10 goals in his last 10 games. What? He's third in the NHL, obviously, in goals. And over the last 2 seasons, including this year as well, he ranks third in goals. He has 115. Leon's fourth. He has 112. Braden Point, he's going to be on Team Canada for a reason. I think I like the idea of Braden Point and Mitch Marner on Connor McDavid's wing. If Zach Hyman isn't going to make that roster, if John Cooper, you're going to have a front row seat tonight to watch what Zach Hyman can do on 97's wing. But I'm looking forward to that. And obviously, you look at that decor. Pull it up again, Pat. Those are not names of the past. Yes, you still have Hedman. Ryan McDonough is not who he used to be, but there's no Chernak in there. There's no Mikhail Sergachev. I think when you look at that third pairing, if you can get 97 or 29 against those two and maybe get them out there after an icing and really cherry pick your matchups, that's a matchup I think the Oilers can take good advantage of. And all right, we got 4 minutes left here. Let's go quick for Bordzy's Bankroll, brought to you by Bet365 because it's a proud partner of Pre-Gaming with Bordzy. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today and use the code NATION, all capitals. All right, Wazino, my options today, which I totally forgot to bet, so I'm going to do this right now. Your first one, Zachary Martin Hyman to get over 3.5 shots on goal, plus 145. This one hit for me in the last game. And as I said, Hyman has 10 shots on goal over his last 2 games. Next one, Leon Draisaitl to get 2+ points at plus 155. He had 2 in his last game. And I know Liam, he's leading the ONE betting challenge because all he bets is Leon 2+ points. And he's been profiting all season long. I was torn between a Connor power play points or just 2 regular points. I went with the 2 to match Leon. Look at the difference. It's minus 110. Connor is Connor. We know that these games have been track meets in the past, and I didn't go with the over tonight, but I went with 3 big dogs here. His West Side Shane Pat is always in the post game, and he says, let the big dogs eat. I'm looking for the big dogs to eat this evening. Wazinho, you look at these 3 bets. Which one did you like the most? Cover for me while I place them.
For me, it's got to be McDavid 2+ points. I'm pretty sure I had that last night as well with my fun parlay I made. I don't know. Hyman 3.5 shots on goal. I feel like he'll get to 2. Tampa's a bit of a tough team. We'll see. But I could see why you would want that. I mean, the odds do look nice. And I mean, Drysdale. I mean, most realistically, McDavid 2+ points, considering all the offense these two teams tend to provide. Would you like me to provide my parlay?
I would.
So for those that don't know, I have hit my last 2 parlays every time.
Plus 1,600 on Saturday, Pat. Was hit.
And Thursday was plus 700. So tonight we've got a plus 3,000 parlay. I know I'm getting a little happy with this one. Nikita Kucherov to score an anytime goal. Edmonton Oilers on the money line. Braden Point over 0.5 player points. Easy. Jake Gensel, 2+ shots on goal. Zach Hyman over 0.5 assists. And McDavid to get 2+ points. So I like this.
I see Super Gremlins in. He says, next Bordzy's bankroll, you should cook us up a nice spider. Brett's not here today. Brett's the spider.
I should have done a
guy
spider.
now.
The spider.
The spider. Maj Peyton's in. Yanmark Hattie, Bordzy, book it.
I love this.
Do they even offer that on Bet365?
Wow.
Pat, I'm going to parlay all these, so I need 5 more seconds. Which of these 3 bets do you like the most?
I really like the Zach Hyman 3.5 shots. 3.5 is a lot, but 5 shots in his last 2 games at plus 145. Pretty juicy. Granted, you can't go wrong with any of these. If I had to pick a second one, Dry is the 2-point king, so that would be my backup. Obviously, McDavid's good too, but just for the money, I like the other 2 better.
Yeah, I do. I see Chell's in and says you could hit on all 3 of these, but McDavid is the safe bet. Also, Ryan S. calls Brett's the Spider-Man.
I know.
Spider-Man. Spider-Man. All right. Final one. I just want to give a quick shout out to. It's game day. Come on now. It's perfect for every day. It's especially perfect on game day. Shout out Odd Company for our Nation Beer Everyday Lager. You can pick them up both Odd Company locations in the Edmonton area or liquorconnect.com and find out which of your local liquor stores is carrying this bad boy. I always mention it. It's a tall boy. It's got a little bit extra for you. 2 of these, perfect for an Edmonton Oilers hockey game. And people, if you're not coming to our little party on Thursday night, I'm sad to mention it is already sold out, but we're going to have these beers on special all night long. I'm so excited to do pre and post with everybody around, and doing it at Greta is fun, but it's so loud and crazy in there. I can't really talk to anybody sometimes. It's gonna be nice to do the show and hear what everybody's saying in the building as well. Waz, you got anything before we ride out of here?
I just find it funny on Bet365. McDavid to get 4 points tonight is plus 800. Only plus 800. That's
that should be plus 2,000.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Hey, it's Connor McDavid.
Shout out my Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yep, shout out your Yu-Gi-Oh cards as well. And shout out you joining me this evening. Shout out producer Patrick Puff behind the scenes. And of course, every one of you who I went back and was reading through some of this chat here today. We really lost the plot for a bit today.
It's my fault.
We got sidetracked. We were talking about inappropriate things, but you know me. I love you all. Throw down your like on the way out. We'll be right here live on the Oilers Nation YouTube breaking down what we hope is an Edmonton Oilers W.
Scratch myself. How do I scratch myself here?
All right, let me continue signing off. We will be here live right here on the ON YouTube for Oilers Nation After Dark. Same 3 boys, me, Waz, and Patrick. I love you all. Good luck on the Bet365 Battlegrounds. I also parlayed my 3 picks, plus 650. Let's ride. I'll see you after the game.